Happy New Year, Keith Thurman.
Thank you, man. Happy New Year to you.
How you been?
Good, relaxing. Just got back in the gym, ready to put in another training camp here.
You must be kind of glad that 2014's over. Now you're going into new 2015.
Definitely.
So let's
Looking forward to it.
Let's look back at the Bundu fight, because obviously that's the fight that, you know, in my pre-fight prediction, I did think that Bundu would be a lot more trickier than people gave him credit for. What were your thoughts about the fight, looking back now?
I mean, he fought exactly how I thought he would fight. You know, the only thing is, when I knocked him down in the first round, that was the only time that I had a real decision to make, which is, you know, do you jump right up on him, or do you look for the knockout later? And because it came so rapidly, the first knockdown just came, you know, he ran into the punch. I said to myself, well, if he ran into one, he'll run into another. But by the fourth round, I realized he didn't really feel like running into anything. And I had to make the decision, well, you're going to have to work for the knockout or continue to outbox him. It's either or, because he's not going to step out on a limb after that first knockdown. And I knew that by the fourth round.
I mean, you've boxed, you know, you've had a quite a decorated amateur background, and boxed a lot of guys. Where would you have put Bundu in terms of boxing ability after that fight?
I mean, he doesn't rank high to me only because he didn't fight me. You know, I was able to intimidate him within the first 2 minutes of the fight. You know, a fighter, I mean, a real warrior is a real warrior, but at the end of the day, you know, fighters are human, and they are going to be intimidated when they're in a certain situation. Some people say right from Jump Street, Devin Alexander was intimidated from Amir Khan's speed.
Right.
And that people could see it in the first round, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So professional fighters are going to be nervous about things that they need to be nervous about because it's happening to them in that moment.
Right.
But Bundu, because of his lack of output, he really didn't put out in our fight. He didn't force me to fight outside of the tempo that I was setting each and every round. You know, he didn't take no chances. And, you know, but he is very smart. You know, he has a good defense. He keeps his tuck tight. He keeps his head low. And, you know, he understands the sport. And I think anybody who gets in the ring with him will understand that, you know, he does understand how to box, but I wouldn't say he's at the top.
Okay. So after the fight now, I mean, during the fight, obviously you were hearing boos. After the fight, do you think the fans were a bit harsh on you that were booing you, or do you felt that was deserved?
No, man, I felt like whoever booed for their own reasons. You know, why do you boo? Why do you cheer? You know, why do you wake up in the morning? You know what I'm saying? Everybody does what they do for a reason, you know, so they got their reason. You know, I don't know if they bet that I knock them out in the first round, the sixth round, and they're booing because they lost their money. They wish I would just gone ahead and knocked them out. Or they're booing because, you know, they're Amir Khan fans, and I said the boy is the #1 most overrated welterweight in the welterweight division today, 24 hours before my fight, you know. So, you know, like I said, there were several boos, and each person had their own individual reason why they're booing Keith one-time Thurman. You know, I know plenty of other people who cheered. I didn't have one person come up to my face personally and tell me that they were displeased with my performance of the fight. You know, I rewatched the fight. I think it was a masterclass boxing performance. I was able to coast and be accurate. You know, I stepped out of the ring with a 49% power ratio. You know, I'm evolving, man. People can say what they want to say about me. I got 19 years in the game, and we're still running, man. And we're going to keep running. We're going to be hard, and we're going to be strong. I'm going to be the toughest dude to beat in the welterweight division outside of Mayweather, guaranteed.
Do you think that, because obviously before the fight you were very vocal, you were saying, you know what, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to knock him out, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then what people saw was a boxing masterclass. People didn't really appreciate the boxing masterclass, and what they want to see is some brute guy out there and knock someone out, as opposed to kind of not appreciating the boxing science.
I mean, it happens, man. You know, people forget that it's the sport of boxing. You know, I do promote knockouts. I believe in KOs for life. But I know what sport I'm in, man. I'm in boxing. So every once in a while, you might actually see me go 12 rounds. And you might see me put on a different kind of show. But at the end of the day, you know, 12 rounds to you know, I took every single round. And we're just growing, man. I mean, to me, that's my arena. You know, you guys come to see me perform. Yeah, I'm the performer, and you don't really know how I'm going to perform. You know, the fight, before the fight, you know, a fighter can say anything. I can say anything, you know. But in a fight, I'm going to do what I think is best to walk away victorious. And 9 out of 10 times, I'm not just trying to walk away the winner, like, oh, I won some match. No, I want to dominate. And that's exactly what I did for 12 rounds. You know, I could have took more risks. I could have made it a more entertaining fight, but I would have had to sit there, figure it out, possibly take more blows. And I was just so accurate. It was so easy, man. We were just boxing from the outside. When I was on the inside, I collided with his head 5 times throughout 12 rounds. So every other round, I'm hitting his head, and that made me not want to be on the inside and sit down and try to hurt him, because I was already winning the fight. So they say you win some, you lose some. I get knockouts, and then I don't get knockouts, and that's my story. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So we ain't looking to lose, and we're just going to keep moving forward.
But was it kind of like a no-win situation? If you blow Bundu out, then, well, he's 40 years of age. And if you don't blow Bundu out, well, he's 40 years of age. Was it one of those kind of fights for you?
The whole fight had nothing really going for me. You know, the best thing about the fight was for me to be the co-main event in Vegas, man, and it was a tremendous experience. And I got to close out the year. Looking forward to this year, you know, but there was no major pros. There was nothing, even with the first round knockout. They would have, you know, the first round knockout is the only thing that would have created some buzz for me. But outside of that, you know, it would have just been like, you know, there would be people saying, oh, well, he did what he was supposed to do. It was set up like that, you know. But yeah, man, sometimes once when you get to the top, man, it's really hard to win ever, no matter what you do. So, you know, we just stay positive and keep grinding. Okay.
So what did it feel like having somebody from another country, i.e. Amir Khan, being top of the bill in your country? Because he commented and said, well, Keith Thurman may say this about me, but who's topping the bill? What would be your response to that?
Spotlight priority, man. You know, it's not like he was an undefeated fighter who fought an undefeated fighter. No, that's what I did. And that's what I am, an undefeated fighter, you know. But he is a 2 to 3 time, whatever time, X world champion. And the one thing about the world of boxing is being an ex-world champion actually means something in the world of boxing. It's like winning a Grammy one year, and then for 20 years you never won a Grammy, but you always were the Grammy winner back in whatever. So Amir Khan's just been around longer than me. He's been on TV more than me. More people know his name than they know my name. And I call it spotlight priority, man. He just was on stage first. So why is it a big shock that, you know, he's performing at the top and I'm number 2? Now, let me be in the ring when Amir Khan debuted and was out there and doing his thing. Let's say Keith Thurman was already on his grind. You know, I'm 26. Let's say I was already 29 years old and I had 3 more years of TV time. You best believe that boy wouldn't have been headlining that show, man. But that's what we call science fiction, man. And we stay in the real world. And I expect things like that to happen, man. But hopefully this year we get the main event slot that we deserve.
Okay. Amir Khan's performance against David Alexander, I'm not going to ask you what you thought about it because we spoke about this way beforehand. You told me that they're both 2 lightweights fighting in the welterweight division. Fine, we're not going to talk about that. Let's talk about now Khan now saying that he don't want to fight Kell Brook, and he feels that he's the man to fight Mayweather. Does he really deserve the opportunity to fight Mayweather now?
If Mayweather wants to fight somebody that can't knock him out, sure, he's the best. He's the best. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, man. And like I said, he's got credentials. See what Amir Khan is doing. All he's doing is he's taking his 140-pound credentials and bringing them into the welterweight division. It's like you go to a theme park and somebody has an express pass and they're just like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna take this seat." You know, there's not much you can do about it, and we have to see how it's all gonna play out. He's only gonna be able to use his credentials till he gets beat in the welterweight division, because as of today, he's 2-0 as a welterweight, even though he hasn't fought a real welterweight. I think if Amir Khan wanted to make a statement, he should have fought Sean Porter, because Sean Porter beat Devin Alexander. And you and Devin were supposed to fight at 140 pounds anyway. So what are you really doing fighting this guy if you want to be a real welterweight, you know?
What was the story between your...
With him and Floyd, man, you know, they've been talking about it for a long time, and sometimes they do things that they've been talking about. Right. Other times they do something else. But, you know, he brings in the European fan base, and I think that will intrigue Floyd. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and plus, I mean, he just fought at the MGM. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So to make the follow-up back at the MGM, Amir Khan, Floyd Mayweather, I mean, it really just makes easy business in my eyes. Easy business. I don't really care too much about the fight. I think it'd be an interesting fight. It's something different, but it's a so-so fight.
What was the story about yourself and Devin Alexander? Was that ever a fight that was ever going to happen? Because I've heard stories, Devin Alexander saying he wanted to fight you. You didn't want to fight Alexander. What's all that about?
I don't know. Man, I can tell you every name that I've ever heard out of, you know, being proposed to me as a potential fighter. Right. His name was never brought up on the list, man. If his name was brought up on the list, you know, everybody in Team Heyman knows that Keith One Time Thurman is a yes man. Will you fight so-and-so? I said, yes, man. I'll fight him. You know, so if he was proposed, he would have been fighting me and not Amir Khan, man. We would have made that easy. That would have went down easy. Amir Khan would have needed to pick up somebody else. Like I said, like a Sean Porter. But anyway, you know, that fight was never proposed to me, man. I mean, I would take that. Easy money.
Maidana.
Another blown up welterweight. He might have beat Maidana, but I ain't Maidana. You know what I'm saying?
So Maidana, the fight that you talked about, Maidana, I didn't know what his sort of expression on his face was when you kind of called him out, but what's the situation now? Are we going to see that fight next?
I mean, hopefully you see that fight this year. I really do hope so. But I know I'm probably going to be back in the ring as soon as possible for the most part. And I don't know when Maidana feels like stepping out this year. I heard a little thing about he'll be fighting later on in this year. You know, it's not uncommon for people to make some money off Mayweather and then sit on the ropes for a little bit before they hop back in action. But so I'm gonna be busy this year. I'm trying to push out 3 fights because I was unable to do that last year.
Sure. So what are we looking at now? Are we looking at somebody in the top 4, top 5? Or so obviously Mayweather and Pacquiao is the fight that a lot of people are saying is going to happen. So where does
for about a week everybody was saying it's going to happen. Now I haven't heard nothing. So, you know, nobody knows it was all said and done.
So you don't think it's going to happen then? You have your doubts?
I mean, I don't think about it, period. I don't think about the fight. Either the fight is going to happen or it's not going to happen. I don't have to think about it happening. You know what I'm saying? So I wait for paperwork, man. I wait for public announcements. That's what I wait for, you know?
Okay. So then who if you can't get Maidana, who would you like to get your teeth into?
The other names on the list, like Amir Khan, Robert Guerrero still, you know, I still want Robert Guerrero. One of the few fighters that I've called out, and I'll always call out, you know, because because he was a Floyd. You know, he fought Floyd. Anybody that fought Floyd, you know, I'm down to fight, man. Victor's trying to make a comeback. If he ever comes back, I'd fight Victor for the fans. You know, I mean, there's things I would do, man. But right now, you know, I want Amir Khan, Robert Guerrero, and Chino. Those are the top three of my list for this year. You know, so if Al Heyman can feed me one or two, I'll be pretty satisfied.
What about
at least two? I mean, if he can feed me two, I'll be satisfied.
What about coming to London and fighting, or coming to England and fighting Kell Brook?
I mean, I'm down for that. Pay me in pounds, son.
Pay me in pounds.
Pay me in pounds.
So one time knows about the pounds then.
I actually, a lot of people don't know too much. You know, we don't get to talk much, me and Kell Brook. But I respect him as a fighter, man. Especially as a young, strong, intelligent boxer. I see him a step or two above Amir Khan, but nothing. There's no evidence. We need evidence of that. But I like him, man. I like him, and I would really enjoy a fight with him. People don't understand. Like, I enjoy the sport, so like I'm not worried about nobody. Most of these people can't even knock me out. The only person in the welterweight division that has knockout power outside of myself is Manny Pacquiao and El Chino right now. You know, you got Marquez, but Marquez, you know, I mean, the punch has to hit you. You know, the dude's getting old. Who knows how long they're going to use him. So
Timothy Bradley.
Yeah, T-Man.
What about him?
You know, he's decent, but I just don't. We'd have to make that one work out, you know, as far as the political stuff goes.
Right.
But, you know, he's beatable, man. I mean, he didn't know what to do to Manny Pacquiao's in and out step, little stutter step, you know. I mean, I don't know. I've seen him look good, and I've seen him look like nothing, man. Like he barely understands boxing. The second time he fought Manny Pacquiao, the way he was winging power shots, I swear he was looking at the floor, man. So the one fight that I haven't seen yet was him versus Chavez. I'm really interested in looking at that.
Okay.
I reminded myself today at the gym I need to watch that. So maybe sometime tonight or tomorrow night I'll just recap on that fight and see some stuff, man. But, you know, Timothy, once again, man, 140-pounder, man. You really ask me, man, there's not too many challenges. The only 140-pounder that's a challenge in the welterweight division is Amir Khan, and the main reason why he's a challenge is because he has the height and the reach and the speed to box with a 147-pounder. Doesn't mean that he's going to win, doesn't mean that he's not going to get knocked out. It just means that he can box, you know? So, you know, I welcome him into the welterweight division. I just want to see him fight a real welterweight in the welterweight division and not all these other fish that think they can just graduate into the welterweight division from 140. That's all.
You're a student of the game. I mean, I could see that Amir Khan has made vast improvements since, you know, he's been with Virgil Hunter. And I think that's simply because Andre Ward has had to take a back seat with boxing. What do you think about the improvements of Amir Khan? Technically.
I think he's just getting older. And starting to fight smarter, you know, and less emotional, you know. I mean, because as a fighter, that's the hardest thing you got to fight is your own emotions.
Okay.
You know, Manny Pacquiao, the only reason why Manny Pacquiao got knocked out from Marquez is because he got into his groove and he got into fighting in a rhythm and a pattern where he's hyper. And so Manny's emotional problem for the most part is his hyperactivity. Once when he starts landing punches, creating knockdowns, sometimes he can get overzealous and real happy, like happy foot, jumping in, jumping out, throwing punches, and that's what got him hurt in the long run. Amir Khan, even though it wasn't exactly the same, but Amir Khan would sit there and kind of trade a little bit more, sit there and throw like try to throw 6 and 8 punch combos. Now he's, you know, throwing 4 punch combos, and that's good enough. You know, come back with 2 more afterwards, but don't stand there. You know, pay attention and things like that. You know what I mean? boxing is boxing, and if you're going to keep boxing, you should learn. I think every fighter should learn, should grow, and should evolve. So, you know, hopefully he does get better, and hopefully he is a legitimate challenge for everybody in the welterweight division. You know, I'm looking forward to competition. What's the purpose of being in a sport if there's no competition? You know?
Okay, you say that, but now if the next fight you have, you put yourself on the chopping line every time you say you want competition, because fans will say, okay, Keith wants a fight, and then let's say you come up with an opponent that's not in the top 10, then the critics will say, well, you know, he's not fighting anybody in the top 10, but yet he's saying he wants a fight. Is that going to be down to your decision making, or is that going to be down to Al Heyman, or what? How does it work?
Well, for the longest, man, a lot of people in the top 10, I think were trying to avoid me for the longest, and I think we've done enough to where all that's going to be. It should end this year. That whole Keith Thurman's not fighting anybody in the top 10 should definitely end this year. And I'm hoping to make a statement with my opening fight. You know,
right.
I don't know anything about it so far, but we're hoping for the best, and I hope it's a legitimate name. And if it happens to not be, if it really, really happens to not be a top 10 fighter, it needs to be at least a name you guys are familiar with and that you respect.
Okay. And finally, what is going on with this WBA interim belt? I mean, how long have you been interim champion now?
That's my championship belt, man. I'm the champ. I'm the champ. And I'll tell you why. Because Floyd's holding on to the other one, and he's not going to let me fight him.
Okay.
You know? So, you know, you might as well just call me the WBA champion minus Floyd. That's all it is, you know? So there's two WBA champions. You can fight Floyd Mayweather or Keith Thurman. That's it. You know, I might have to fight Floyd to get the belt. I look forward to that. If not, I have to wait for him to vacate the title or retire, whichever comes first, you know?
Okay. Outside of the welterweight division, this is my final question to you, Keith. There's a fight happening January the 17th. Stiverne versus Deontay Wilder. Do you have any thoughts on that fight?
Just looking forward to it, man. I'm going to record it. Hopefully I'll be able to watch it live. I know a lot of people. I mean, it's one of the biggest, you know, heavyweight events that we've had in a long time that really means something.
Right.
So, and that, you know, real boxing people are just looking forward to. You know, first time I heard about it, first question was, is it going to go more than 2 rounds? You know, that's what I want to know. How much of a fight is it going to be, period? But it's really interesting. It's going to be bombs. You got 2 big, strong, intelligent fighters in there, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to who comes in shape, you know, who wants it, who boxes smart, and who gets caught first.
Ooh. So are you leaning one way or the other, or is it just a neutral? You're just a neutral fan in this one?
I got nothing to do with the heavyweights, man. They can do it. It can go either or, man. When I'm as a true sports fan, I actually don't like picking teams on anything. I just like enjoying a nice game. I like enjoying the sport that I'm watching, whether it's basketball, football, baseball. But I want to see plays, man. You know, so in team sports, I want to see the playmaker, who does what. And then in the individual sports, I just want to see. I want you to show me your talent, right? You're a world-class fighter. Show me how you made it up here. Right.
Sounds great, champ. Thank you so much for talking to BaylorIC TV. Do you have a message for your fans?
Hope everyone had a great Christmas and New Year's. Welcome, everybody, 2015. Your boy One Time is going to bring it. I'm hoping to get 2 out of 3 of those names that I mentioned, which was The Ghost, Amir Khan, and Marcos Maidana. But you can throw Kell Brook in the mix too, man. So I'm really looking forward to getting 2 of those 4 names sometime this year. And just stay tuned, man. One love. Thank you for all your love and support.
Thank you again, Keith. We appreciate you.
Thank you, man.